Gary Custer, Senior Marketing Specialist for AGCO Seed and Tillage Group. I'm standing in front of the Fendt family's newest member, the Momentum planter. The Momentum contains what we call smart frame technology, and in that are several systems: vertical contouring toolbar, load logic weight management system, systems that make this planter so easy to operate that many of them are one button touch. But let me take you for a walk around the Momentum and let's talk about each one of these features. So this is the new Fendt Momentum system. Now Momentum will be available in 40 and 60 foot toolbar widths with row spacings of 15, 20, 22, and 30. We're standing here next to the 32 row 40 foot toolbar. It's equipped with onboard fertilizer, 1,000-gallon capacity, central fill system standard equipment, two 65 bushel tanks, giving us a combined 130 bushel seed capacity. You'll notice how clean everything is on this unit. What I mean by clean is the routing of the hoses and air supply lines. Let's take a little closer look at the front of the planter. The Momentum comes in three different tongue configurations. This one is the 2-point hitch, what we call the high lift version. As you can see, it has a 28-inch cylinder located here, which when the 3-point arms are fully raised, gives us another additional elevation for those applications that, say it's a really severe railroad crossing or something that we would need extra clearance beneath the planter to traverse. The drawbar hitch also has this feature, giving us the lift, because in every application, the tongue needs to be lowered to capture the wing wheels when the unit is folded and then lifted for transport. The standard 2-point hitch would look like this, but without the lift cylinder. A planter can be converted from one style hitch to the other. All this hardware is bolted on, so a unit in inventory, for example, needing a different hitch application for a customer, that can be done in the field. So looking at the hookup, of hooking it up to the tractor with Momentum, you'll notice that there are actually fewer hoses than what you'd find in a conventional planter. Momentum has a Power Beyond system that uses one main line from the tractor, which powers different things like fold, and some of the systems we talked about, like the vertical contouring toolbar, is operated from that Power Beyond system. What is a direct hookup is the cylinder on the high lift and the drawbar hitch, and the Momentum comes standard equipment with Delta Force. Delta Force requires a hydraulic outlet on its own as well. But you can see that if the tractor is equipped with an air system, as this Fendt is, Glad Hand hooks up to this, and that supplies the air for the weight management system, the load logic system. If the tractor does not have that pneumatic system, there is a separate air compressor system available as an option. Momentum is controlled by Precision Planting's Gen 3 2020 system. But as you can see, there's a lower panel here that gives us fingertip control of functions such as lift and lower on the vertical contouring toolbar, one button fold and unfold. We've got master switches for our hydraulics, auxiliary, and fans. The fan and the fan adjustments for both vacuum and CFS fans are located here. So on the 2020 monitor, Gen 3 monitor, we've got our master switch and then swathing controls here, and then the swath control button here. So all these controls are very accessible. The 2020, of course, gives the grower all kinds of information live, and he can customize the screen. In this area of the planter, you see our Power Beyond system and the valves that are controlled by that. Power Beyond is controlling systems such as the fold and the vertical toolbar. All the systems that really aren't directly connected, such as the cylinder on the tongue that we talked about, and the Delta Force and marker. If markers were present, they would be on a separate valve. But all the other systems of the smart frame are controlled by the Power Beyond. While we're in this area, we can talk about the CFS fan. Now, the CFS fan and the vac fan are identical. They're both 19-inch diameter fans, and you can see the large 6-inch tube that feeds each section, because we're actually powering the toolbar, the vertical contouring toolbar, with the vacuum. And this is the vacuum line here, this large 6-inch tube, and then the 1.5-inch CFS tubes going out to each individual row unit. So while we're in this area too, we can talk about, which is a revolutionary and patented feature, the inline tandem wheels. The inline tandems are similar to a track in the amount of faceplate that they produce, dissipating the weight and increasing the faceplate. The more faceplate you have, the less compaction impact you have on the soil. But the key feature of this is it eliminates pinch rows. So we no longer have side-by-side tires, which can put unwanted pressure on either side of the plant row. So pinch rows are completely avoided. You'll notice that there are two different size tires here, 17-inch wheel and a 22-inch wheel. And the reason for that is, well, primarily it gives us a place to put the wing hinge. So with the wing hinge located inside these wheels, we produce a very narrow 12-foot transport width on every model of Momentum, be it a 40-foot or 60-foot toolbar. Large wheel in the rear, smaller wheel in a tire, not width of course, but in diameter. The back wheel is carrying about 60% of the load, front wheel 40. So that positions the pivot point towards that larger tire in the rear. Another benefit to that is that front tire now having equal weight, as this rolls into a wet spot, for example, the weight being on the back side of the tire tends to suspend that front tire out front, which gives us a much better possibility of moving through that wet spot without this tire sinking away. Also, while we're in this area, we can talk about the central fill system. CFS has been totally redesigned for Momentum, and it actually operates at about 30% more efficient, 30 to 40% more efficient. Little things that you may not notice in the design of the Momentum is the drip edge on the bottom of the tank, which keeps the water well away from the air seed mixing chamber. So if this planter is caught in the rain, that seed will not become waterlogged and cause issues. There are two discharge areas to change the seed type. There's a hose port located here that can be used to gravity feed into a box. And then when you get down to the very end of it, you get total clean out. And keep in mind, this would all be folded out of the way, which would give you access to this area of the planter. The smart frame technology that's designed into the Momentum planting system includes a weight management system that we call Load Logic. Now, Load Logic incorporates spindles, smart spindles, if you will. They're 3 3/4 inch diameter. We can control the amount of air pressure in the tires. The spindle is a weigh bar. So each wheel set on the Momentum planter is measuring how much weight is being put on each tire. So there are two different modes. There's the load balance, which will put equal weight on every tire, and then there's a controlled traffic mode, which will concentrate the weight of the planter on the center section. So let me describe the two systems and how they work. In the load balance mode, each wheel or each weigh bar, smart spindle, is sending information to the computer telling it how much weight is on the tire. Also loaded into the computer is the inflation to weight ratio table supplied by the tire manufacturer. With that information, we know what the minimum amount of air pressure in the tire can be set to carry the weight that's on the tire. Now that weight is always changing, and Momentum is always changing the air pressure to coordinate with the weight present at that moment. So also involved in this system is the weight transfer cylinder, which is located here on each wing. The weight transfer cylinder is working in conjunction with the weight management load logic system. So as weight is needed to be increased on the wing tires or decreased on the wing tires, the cylinder is moving out, putting pressure on the wing, or retracting, taking pressure off the wing. In the controlled balance mode, this cylinder is involved in taking weight off of the wing, bringing all that weight to the center inline tandems to put that weight in the tractor path. It will maintain approximately 900 pounds of wheel weight on each wing. 900 pounds is required to stabilize the wing so that the delta force, downforce system can do what it needs to do and have that resistance there to maintain proper seat depth. Tire technology has become very important. It's important to the load logic system. Momentum uses the VF, which is a very high flexation tires, which is very new technology. What it means is that this tire can carry the same amount of weight at 40% less air pressure than a conventional radial. Less air pressure means less impact on the soil. One of the nicer features about the load logic system is that it's automatic. When the operator enters the field and begins to unfold the planter, at midway, the system, load logic, starts to deflate the tires from the 60 psi on roading, required for roading, down to whatever the lowest psi is for the load that's on the planter. The reverse is true. So he doesn't have to remember to inflate the tires when he goes back down on the roadway. So as the planter is folding, the system automatically begins to inflate the inline tires up to that 60 psi for roading. In the smart frame technology is a feature we call the VCT, vertical contouring toolbar. It's truly the heart of the momentum planter. As you notice, there are apparently two toolbars here. The primary, which is we consider the chassis. Keep in mind, that does not move up or down hydraulically. Like a conventional planter would try and lift that toolbar, not necessary in momentum. Momentum uses the VCT technology, which involves these cylinders, these two frame pivot points. These are called flipper towers. The flipper tower is activated by these cylinders. There are two towers on each section. A 40-foot machine is this one, will have 3 sections. A 60-foot machine will have 5 sections. The way this system works, parallel linkage, a row unit, performs at its peak if these are parallel to the ground. So this set of parallel arms have got 15.5 inches of travel, limited by the stroke on the delta force cylinder. So that is 15 inches, 7.5 up, and 7.5 inches down. Operating in the center is where we want to be. Governing that, on each section, there are 3 of these potentiometers. They are monitoring where these parallel links are in their range of travel. There are 3 on a section. If they start getting too far out of center, the system is informed by these 3 sensors that, hey, I'm at this position, I'm at this position, I'm at this position. The system will take the high and the low, disregard the one in the center, and adjust this toolbar height by the means of these cylinders on the flipper towers. We'll adjust that toolbar height accordingly to get these row units back in the center of their row unit travel. The range of motion on this row unit, conventional toolbar, looking at 5.5 inches of vertical movement up, 5.5 inches of vertical movement down. With the VCT, that now becomes 65 inches of row unit travel. So contours, terraces, things like that, they won't define the direction that they're going to be planted any longer. With momentum, the operator can define which is the most efficient way to plant that field. knowing that with the vertical contouring toolbar, the row units will remain engaged with the soil, planting at the correct depth. Vertical contouring toolbar also gives us ample room to put any row unit mounted tillage or row cleaning attachment that we want to on this planter. It gives us the luxury of having multiple selections of row spacing, 15, 20, 22, 30, with the same toolbar. The row unit of Momentum is equipped with precision components. Standard equipment are Delta Force, V-set 2 meters, V-drive, electric drive. This is what gives you that 99+% accuracy in the seeding and singulation. Seed tube options, speed tube or wave vision. There's some options on this row unit. This is the row unit fertilizer kit, which got the V-Apply HD fertilizer coming from our 1,000-gallon fertilizer tank and pump system to the row unit. Plug and play. Every row unit on Momentum is SRM controlled, single row module that controls all these components. V-set, V-drive for singulation and swath, turn rate compensation. Each row unit has an extension hub, CAN bus extension hub, which enables these other components to be added and simply plugged and played. So looking at this row unit, as options we have present the Yetter shark tooth row cleaners. This is the floating version, which would then allow the addition of Precision's Clean Sweep pneumatic control as an aftermarket option. This unit has the 3-inch gauge wheel. There's also a 4.5-inch gauge wheel, and there are available 4.5 and 3-inch spoked gauge wheels as well as field installed. Now it gets a little confusing here sometimes, but there are features on the Momentum row unit that can be deducted when ordering from the factory, enabling a customer dealer then to add other components from Precision. For example, their Conceal nutrient application system. The nice thing about this is that a customer is not having to purchase this gauge wheel, take that gauge wheel off to add something else that he would prefer. So from the factory, these things can be deducted or not ordered. While we're looking at this row unit, one of the nicest features about the Momentum row unit, the 3.05 millimeter blades, they're 15.8 inches in diameter, dual roller bearings, inside scrapers. It's a cast shank. The wheel scrapers that you see here are an option. This is the weigh pin location. At this point, there's a weigh pin in here that is measuring the pressure that is being exerted on the row unit as we plant. The operator can select the weight of this gauge wheel on his soil. It's called a margin. The Delta Force downforce system will push this row unit down until the depth that we selected for our seeding is attained. At that point, these gauge wheel arms impact this weigh pin. This weigh pin is a strain gauge very similar to the smart spindles in the wheels. It's measuring how much pressure is being put on here, and that starts when we reach our set planting depth. Once that depth is attained, what we decided that we wanted for margin for packing weight, that 50 pounds, if that was the number, is exerted onto the row unit. That happens 5 times a second. That system will adjust, ensuring that every inch of that field is planted as the field is requiring, not what we had randomly selected as a downforce weight. Unique to the Momentum AGCO row unit is the seeding depth adjustment gauge. In 1/4 inch increments from 0 to 4.5 inches. What's unique about this is that as the planter covers acres and the opener blades wear, that diameter is being consumed, the blades get smaller. We're not planting at the same depth that we were when the blades were new. With the momentum row unit, it's very easy to recalibrate this by slipping a 2x4, 1.5 inch diameter or 1.5 inch thick board under each gauge wheel, setting your depth to 1.5 inches, as we've done here, and then adjusting this nut until the opener blades touch the cement. We are now recalibrated to an accuracy of 1.5 inches. Wherever we change this depth, then we're going to be at the depth indicated by the markings on the casting. We're the only row unit on the market that can do this without having to be disassembled or new parts added. The momentum closing wheel, all cast, available with the angled rubber. There's also a cast option available through 4 different downforce settings. The entire gauge wheel assembly can be ordered with less the closing wheels themselves, if an aftermarket combination is what the customer would prefer. The vertical contouring toolbar enables us to offer very narrow 15-inch row spacing with the momentum planter. One nice feature about the momentum and 15-inch row spacing is the splitter rows. When planting corn, these are hydraulically raised and locked up with a push of a button from the cab of the tractor. No more are you required to come out and physically lift these row units and lock them mechanically. An interesting feature is that there's a valve built into these, because momentum, when it folds for transport, these row units fold vertically. So there's a valve, butterfly valve built into this, that prevents seed from backfilling into the CFS delivery. Another interesting feature on momentum, and this is how forward-thinking engineers are, that the hopper is a 1/3 bushel. This is Precision Planting's M-set, which is their economical multi-hybrid hopper. This hopper now is ready for easy insertion of Momentum's M-set, giving us dual hybrid capability with this hopper. It's also nice for a grower that would be wanting to plant canola, that he's got a sufficient size at 1/3 bushel to plant canola without having to go through the CFS. When Load Logic is ordered, that would be the weight management system. There's some things that come with it. One is 75 feet of air hose, enough to reach virtually any part of the planter. Every planter is going to have the wash station. It comes with the fertilizer package, a reservoir for washing one's hands, face, whatever is necessary. Fertilizer filled from the rear of the planter, 2-inch junction here to fill the fertilizer tank. You'll notice that we don't really have a ladder on momentum. We have a staircase, which makes the ascent much, much easier. Okay, we're in the commodity station, if you will, of momentum. 265 bushel seed tanks, over center locks, completely watertight. Has the ultrasonic sensor to show us the level of the seed. You can look down in there, you'll notice that everything slopes to the center and down into the mixing chamber of the CFS delivery. Nice thing about this tank is that it fills completely. There's no necessary shoveling of seed this way or that way to attain a complete fill. Nice walk area between the tanks, gives us access to the fertilizer tank. 1,000 gallon poly tank. It's a narrow profile. Hydraulic driven wet pump gives us a variable rate delivery of the fertilizer. Swinging away gate gives us very easy access with the seed tender to reach both tanks for fast and efficient filling of seed. This apparatus is a pneumatic gun, which enables us then to attach this hose. Attach the gun to our air line and vacuum out seed out of the mini hoppers into a bucket to quickly change crops. So this is Momentum. Smart frame technology, automated systems, easy to operate, large capacity. This isn't your father's planter, but it's easy enough to operate that he could run it. It's Fendt. It's time to see what Momentum can do for you.